with this. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on a special IBC episode of Bird Dog Live Session. My name is Anthony Barocas, as you can see right down here, and that's going to stay there for the whole show because I upgraded the studio to be, it's a new studio built from scratch just for today's show, and those won't go away. But that is life in the live studio. You'll also notice that my background is different, and it's because I am traveling for the next few weeks, and we just really wanted to get you the news of BC. So I am traveling. This is a makeshift studio, but I thank everyone for being there. So welcome to today's show. I don't have a green logo shirt. I don't have a green screen behind me. This is actual, like, real location, and that far from IBC, but I am not on the show floor. I'm hoping maybe somebody from the show floor will check in. We will see if we can make that happen, if there's enough cell cover at IBC in Amsterdam. Speaking of Amsterdam, where everyone is watching from, so feel free to chime in the comments where you are watching from, because this is a live show. You are here, we are here. The whole point of being here together for this live show is that we're here together, and as such, this is your opportunity to chime in. What questions do you have about the products? Now, that announcement was made early this morning. It is now 4 o'clock in the afternoon here in Germany and in Central Europe time. It is now 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so the big have already been made. So we're going to just go over them if you haven't already heard. But as always, another key reason us on the live show is that you have a chance to win a 1 year of BirdDog Connect. And you do that by filling out this form. You can use your phone. If you're watching this on a computer or a laptop or iPad or something, you can use your cell phone, point it at this QR code, and that will take you to the entry form. And then you can type in bit.ly/BD entry, BirdDog entry, which in another tab in the same browser of where you are, and you can start to enter to win 1 year of BirdDog Connect. So it's a day trial. It's not a 30-day trial. It's not the same thing everybody else is getting. This is one full year subscription to BirdDog Connect, and it does a lot of things. So if you had an opportunity to check that out, this is your chance to really drive it, see what BirdDog entry can do for you. And I can see that somebody has the QR code already for participating in the show. And again, in addition to being in BirdDog entry, 1 year of BirdDog Connect, I once again remind everyone, as we talk about today's announcements, feel free to throw your questions into the comments. This is a dialogue. This is your opportunity to basically have tech support on the line and answer your questions. And I will tell you right now that here I am on vacation, and I don't have the products with me, so I will not hold them up. But I do have someone. I have Christian, the product manager from BirdDog, will be able to really walk us through these products. So with that, let me bring Christian on to the show. Christian, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you joining me on today's show. Oh, let's see. I don't hear you yet. And it didn't resize everything. Okay. Nope, I'm not hearing you. Did you unmute your mic? Did I mute you? I don't think I muted you. No, it does not say that you are muted. So Christian's going to work on that. If everyone, I'm going to leave him on so I can hear it when that does click through. And if everyone has already heard the news, if you haven't already, we're going to need a drum roll. Drum roll, please. What are the big announcements from IBC? Announcements are the X1 30X. The X1 30X is that X1 that we all know and love. successful, and people have been asking, and I, having done these shows several times, a lot of people, when it went, I think we got one right here. When will the X130X be available? I hear you starting to come in. The question is, when will the X130X be available? So when Christian comes back, we will have him be that. I can't answer that, but we do know with BirdDog 2.0 that they do not want to announce things until to go. That was part of BirdDog 2.0, and the fact that they're being announced here means it should mean that they are ready to go. Oh, he disconnected. He's gonna try to come back in again. Boo, 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 boo. Let me try to bring you in here. Do I have you now? 1, 2, 3. It's coming in. It's coming in. This is the magic of live. It's coming in, like I hear a little bit of static and then it goes away. A little bit of static and then it goes away. Hear consistent audio.
All right. Am I better now?
Right? Yes, you are better.
Great. Yeah. The X130X, because luckily I was able to hear while I was trying to get my mic sorted out. Um, yeah, there's not going to be a really long wait at all for the X130X. So we already have them assembled. We're just finalizing the firmware. So it's just going to be a matter of weeks until we're able to get the logistics processed and get them out to warehouses. So it's going to be a pretty quick turnaround from the announcement today to when they're going to be in hand. So if you put in an order today, it won't be long until it hits your hands.
And I think just because there has been such interest in a longer zoom, this is going to be a hot product. But also, one of the really interesting is this now has a filter thread, which is for people who are outdoors. A lot of people have been, haven't really like talked about filter threads, but there's not a lot of easies with filter threads to put different things on the front just because it's a balance issue.
Yeah, so we saw in like the last like the first year that the X1 was out that there were a lot of folks that were using it in places and scenarios that were a little outside of like what we originally like expected people to use it for. So yeah, just adding it on, we think gives it the ability to be more successful in more places.
Yes, definitely. Because I know, like, if you're in a really bright area and you've got a lot of sunlight and everything, being able to like control the aperture so it's not closing all the way down to a pinhole really does help the image quality. Being able to put on an ND filter on there can really make a difference for certain outdoor sports.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, it's a 52 millimeter uh, filter ring as well. I think we have that on the our specs page, which kind of digs into everything on the next slide, I think.
Yeah, let me go to the next slide.
Am I ahead of myself? Amazing. Yeah, so the 52 millimeter filter ring, so that, yeah, so it should be pretty universal. Just as long as you grab any 52 millimeter ring, it'll screw right on.
And I think a lot of people are also interested. People ask about portrait mode. So what is this
Yeah.
now that you can do? Is the sensor's not rotating in there, is it?
Nope, it's cropping the native image to a 9 by 16. So what I can do actually, I can show it right now actually
All right.
before talking about it. Let me share my screen.
Yep, I see it. Let
Awesome.
me add to the scene.
Yeah, so I'm just in the our web UI for the X130X, just like all of our cameras. But in the cam control tab, There's the image ratio where you can toggle between traditional 16 by 9 or 9 by 16. And then you'll notice in the frame, it's a little hard where I'm zoomed in here, but you'll notice on the left and right that it's a little grayed out to help you frame what's going on. But on the actual NDI feed, you will just see the center portion.
Oh, interesting. So that way, if somebody is, broadcasting vertical content just to
Yeah,
Instagram or TikTok, you're able to like easily see what the framing is for that vertical crop and not be like, oh, that was a little too, you're not guessing where those edges are.
correct. And then here, let me change what I'm sharing real quick. So this is the actual studio monitor of that same camera. So you can see that you just have the black bars on either side. So you're only showing out that 9 by 16, not a faded view. Let me ramp my speed down here. So you can come in. So what we were getting a lot of interest in was using PTZ cameras in like TikTok shop. And so now you can frame up somebody for portrait mode really easily. Yeah. It sounds really complicated, but at the end of the day, I think it's a really straightforward feature that's going to be really dynamic for a lot of users. I think we lost Anthony, but I can keep carrying on in the dead space. So the X130X is um, kind of like the cousin of the X1. It uh, is a grown-up version of it being Zoom certified. Um, it has the same color profile, the same feature set, just gives you that 30x zoom, but is also debuting some of the new features like the 9 by 16 mode that's also going to come to the pre-existing X1 and the X1 Ultra and Max, I believe, as well.
Right. So that's the vertical crop there. Whoop.
Yeah, it still has the decoder and the Wi-Fi available on it.
Very cool.
You can see the color is still great. It's everything that we've grown to really love about the X1.
Definitely, definitely. And in terms of, let's go back to the go away specification. My web interface, because I'm remote, I'm remoting into this. The 9 by 16 mode is new, and you were talking about the Zoom certified, and it keeps everything else, the halo tally, the e-ink display. There's nothing else. You're not losing anything. You're just sort of gaining
Yeah,
the longer zoom and the 9 by
yeah.
16 as
And what I
well.
think we understate too is the multi-exposure HDR. So the color is just going to be more dynamic than on the pre-existing X1s that we have.
So go through that again, the multi-exposure HDR.
Yeah, so HDR is going to give you a high dynamic range. So it's going to give you my favorite way of thinking about HDR is like boxes of crayons, where when you're going from a standard color space to a high dynamic range, you're adding more crayons to your box. So there's more shades that you can work with, and it's going to give you a more dynamic field of color.
Interesting, interesting. We got a question come in. The AI face as a focus mode on the X130 specs. Is this an update going to be coming to the X1 Ultra?
Yeah, so we're really keen to a lot of the features like this that we're debuting on the X130X will trickle along to the X1 and the X1 Ultra as well, not very far behind at all. So those firmwares, as the X130X hits the market, will have the firmware for the X1 and the Ultra out as well.
All right, and the 30X is just HD
Correct.
right now,
Correct.
right?
So if you
So
like the X1
anyone, yeah,
form factor, but you want even more zoom,
right,
we are really close to launching. So we're announcing that we're bringing a teleconvert feature to the X1 Ultra and to the Max, where when you are in
okay,
1080p, you're able to double the zoom so that you can get a, what is it, a 40x, if I remember
yes, yeah.
correctly.
If
Yeah,
you're basically
because it
doubling your 20
doubles,
to 40,
because it doubles your zoom. Yeah.
exactly,
I always
exactly.
get mixed up in my brain whether which one's the 12x and which one's the 20.
So I
Yeah,
think a
so
lot
it'll
of
be like a
people,
24x zoom.
so a lot of people who were not, yeah, it's like, listen, I've got the 4K if I need it, but then if I'm doing a show and I would rather have, it's going to be HD, and I would rather have longer zoom, I could then leverage that additional sensor crop to come in and deliver still pixel for pixel HD, but now it's as if I had a longer optical zoom, which I think is a really, really good feature enhancement without actually changing the way the camera operates too.
Yeah. So that's coming along as well. So it's what we've kind of started to hang our hat on a little bit is reinventing, the products almost with pretty fundamental changes to what the products can do even after we've launched it. So I think it's a real value add to the entire X1 line, in addition to having a brand new product available in the 30X version.
Right, right. So let's continue along with this. See if I can bring that slide deck back up. My interface is being a little sluggish today, probably because of, I don't know, I'm in Germany. The next one up is the '04. I
Oh,
saw this
four.
and I was like, whoa, this thing looks like a tank.
It is.
And it says built like a tank. Um, and then when I started looking at the specifications for this thing, I was like, oh my goodness. On the website, it's like minus 40 degrees to plus 60.
Yeah, plus
I'm
60
like, that's
Celsius. Yeah.
insane. That is,
Designed for all conditions. Yeah.
and then of course, I and it doesn't have a windshield wiper, but I
No, but
was
what it
like,
does have, since it is our brand new standalone outdoor unit, the really modern and kind of space agey looking, glass on the front is actually hydrophobic. So dirt, water, all runs off of it.
right,
So we thought a lot about
right,
our pre-existing series, so like the A series, like the A200, for instance. It had a wiper, and there were a lot of folks that had issues with the wiper, whether it was something hit it or just mechanical things that happened over time. When you have
right,
a moving part up on something that's mounted up, wherever, is it's a lot harder to access and to maintain, and it's another risk factor. So we opted to go with the hydrophobic glass rather than a wiper because we wanted to reduce the maintenance aspect of it. We didn't want people to have to get the scissor lift out to go and take a look at the camera. We wanted,
fix the
yeah, you
wiper.
put the camera up and you leave it alone. And if you go back a
Right, right.
slide too, actually, I made sure we included these really great pictures of the mounting experience of it as well. because we tried really hard to give it a really clean look. Like that's the actual mount for it that you can either do upside down or a traditional where the
Camera on
camera head
top.
would be up. Yeah. Um, where it looks really clean. All of your cables run through the back. You don't
Yep.
have things hanging out. And then for the O4, actually, we have a corner mount available as well as a pole mount also.
Nice. So three different mounts: wall mount, pole mount, and corner mount.
Correct. And I
So
think one of the big things that people will like about the O4 is if they used our any of our A series cameras, they had like what we called a tail, where it was like this black wire that came out of the back that had a bundle of cable connections at the end of it that you plugged everything into. But the
right.
O4 is really similar to the rest of our PTZ cameras, where all of your ports are directly on the camera itself. And we have three little ports. Do we have a picture of it? I don't think I have one pulled up,
There's,
but
let's see, I got one on the website,
there's
I
one on the
think.
website, I think. Um, I'll pull it up as I talk about it. But what's really great is you're able to just connect what you need and not expose anything else so that you're able to have it look really, really professional and clean without
Hmm.
sacrificing the install experience or risking the weather exposure. So here we go.
So, and then you have, it talks about how, we're going to bring up your slide here. You have the 30x optical,
Yep.
and that
Like we just talked about with the
is
teleconvert. So if you're
right.
running it into
Now all of a
maybe
sudden you're talking
60x
60
zoom,
in HD.
yeah, so these
So those are like little grommeted entry points for the cables.
exactly, exactly it. So depending on where you're coming from or how many connections you're hooking it up to, you're not going to want to slam your head into a concrete wall when you're trying to install it. And I think uh, a few of our us on the team really like the idea that you can now just set the O4 on a tabletop or you can install it on a tripod. It's not, exclusive to being mounted anymore. Like previous outdoor cameras that we had where you had to have it on a mount or it was as heavy as
Right.
Earth is what is it?
Yeah,
It's
it's
only
that's
like 7.5 kilograms. So it's not
well,
small,
and
but it's
there are definitely, situations where it's like, listen, not every outdoor camera is going to be mounted permanently. There are people who want to do live events, but you also need to be weather ready. So it's sort of like, hey, we're going to do this game. There's a chance of inclement weather, so it's going to be on a tripod. The tripod might get wet. It's going to be, mounted to a genie boom lift,
yeah.
up in the air. And if it gets wet, we're not worried about it because the camera is designed to work in inclement
Yeah,
weather.
and so many of those outdoor events, like I think of like outdoor concerts, where your tech booth is all the way in the back. So now if you just want to leave the camera, in the sound booth with the 60x zoom you can get in teleconvert mode, you can zoom in and have, close shots to the talent on stage without having to have dedicated cameras on stage.
And then also the fact that you're able to export dual NDI.
Yeah, I think this is huge, and we've gone a really long time without mentioning it. But this is a reintroduction of high bandwidth NDI to our portfolio. And it's not exclusively high bandwidth, but you can also do NDI HX3 simultaneously.
Right. And that's what I think one of the interesting things is because the Silicon 2 update for the older cameras took the HX cameras, high bandwidth, and enabled them to also do HX3, and thus far the X series, and I guess the O4 is not necessarily an X series per se, but it's the
Yeah.
core thinking technology is X. It's now that's reintroducing the high bandwidth.
Yeah, it is. It's a really powerful camera, and that second encoder that you can use the HX3 on, if you're using, high bandwidth NDI and you're like, I don't need the HX, you could also simultaneously encode, SRT, RTMP, or RTSP out of it. Do you want
Right, right.
another
So
secret
that second
sauce?
encode doesn't have to be NDI.
Yeah. So this one's also going to answer another big question that people have had for a really long time. If you comb through the tech specs on the O4 and you look at the network protocols, you're going to see Dante AVH, which can be unlocked in your Dante activator. So it's Dante ready, Dante AVH ready. So when you connect it and hook it up,
Wow.
all you'll have to do is go to your Dante activator and then activate that license, and take care of your fiduciary things with Dante, and then you can use it just like any AVH source.
So we're talking, BirdDog has been all in on NDI, but now,
I think I lost you, Anthony. Yeah, so like we've been really forward with having NDI as a primary, IP protocol that we've been using. But we're really diversifying the portfolio that we're using from high bandwidth NDI to NDI HX3, to now bringing Dante AVH to the table. So no matter what video over IP or baseband workflow you're doing, we have a product that can really fit in any of those environments across the fleet. So as we round out, our whole lineup of PTZ cams, we really complete the full workflow for multiple different types of solutions and environments, and budgets. All right, it looks like Anthony's going to work on rejoining us. So I guess I'll dig into more of the technical end of stuff with this while we wait for Anthony to come back. We do have a large sensor on this, so it's a 1/1.8 Sony sensor, similar to what we have in the X4 Ultra. Anthony is now back.
it is
Great.
it's
I'll stop my
I'm on
boring rant through tech specs.
I apologize for that, but it is I'm remote. I'm on a trip, and that is the nature of trying to connect through whatever internet is available wherever you're at. So I have to refresh the my browser connection, and hopefully, yeah, the Dr. NDI cut Anthony off. No, thank you very much, Niles, for the comedy. Yes, I apologize, but doing the best I can with the connectivity that I have where I am. And I'm going to agree with Randy. Dante AV availability is great news because there's competition in the market now, and I think competition is great. And BirdDog is showing that they are they're out. They're in it, for real. And Dante is a well-established protocol, and them adding video to this well-established audio protocol is going to bring a lot of people over to video over IP that might not have already come over, just because of the reliability that Dante has shown over so many years. Randy has a good question though. Love the dual encoding, but does it also have NDI decoding?
The O4 does not have a decoder built in, but what it does have built in is a SFP port on it. So if you're mounting it in a really remote location and you don't want to run a 300-foot, RJ45 cable, you can run essentially an infinite length of SFP to wherever it's at for your connectivity and power it locally if you want.
That can be very handy too, because sometimes um, running fiber is a lot easier than running coax or Ethernet.
Absolutely.
Do, 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 do. So what did somebody say? He says, "Is this going to be able on the Maquis, the
Well, does
portrait
this go
modes?"
back to the 9 by 16?
Yeah.
So we have it on we either, I can't remember off the top of my head if we've launched it on the Maki Live or if it's launching really soon, it'll come to the Maki Live and then we're looking at it on the Ultras.
Wow. So the portrait mode is something that is going to be is definitely an initiative, we could say. It's not just coming out on this one model. It's going to be growing.
Yeah.
That is very cool. Randy says, really happy about the 30X, but he didn't see SDI in the list. And I'm guessing he's talking about the,
The 30X on the
yeah.
X1. Yeah. So the X1s don't have the SDI port. So just a part of like how our lineup is built. So we introduce the SDI port on our X4 Ultra. So our X4, X5, O4, and then what we'll see next with the XL will all have SDI. So kind of our foundational lineup in the X1s don't have SDI, but when you're looking for that, we do have models available that do have it.
And speaking of models with SDI, the X1 Ultra.
XL.
The XL Ultra. It's covered over by some graphics I have in
Yeah.
the producer view. The XL Ultra, um, 4/3 sensor. That's not even a 1 inch sensor. That's a big sensor.
It's it's huge. It's technically also a 5K sensor,
Wow.
as well.
So
So
are you guys doing windowing or are we doing a downsample?
uh, I'll defer to Dan.
I didn't mean to put you on the
You're
spot.
good. You're good. I just don't know the answer off the top of my head to that one.
Yeah, because with a 5K sensor, I mean, there's a lot of capability there because I just saw a demo of Apple's new phones that the selfie camera has center stage, and it's a square sensor, so it can pull vertical, it can pull square, it can pull horizontal because it's taking one big image and then just giving you whatever you decide to want. And similarly, if you've got a large 4/3 inch sensor in a camera, you have the ability to do a lot of flexible things. So, I can't promise anything down the road now because we're not announcing what, isn't ready to ship. But this definitely does give a lot of future capability to this camera.
It does. We really like, I feel like we've talked for the last year and a half since we launched the X series on like we've listened, this is all the feedback we've gotten, and here's how we've incorporated it. And the XL is really the crowning jewel of that. We wanted to check as many boxes as possible about what people have been looking for and what they ask for, so that we can have a camera that meets nearly as many needs as possible while still performing at a really high level and not going to cost you, an arm, a leg, and a kidney.
And one of the key questions, especially with something cinematic, I know because Sony has, full frame sensor DSLRs that they've made into PTZ cameras. This is a PTZ camera now with a larger sensor. Now it may not be, full 35 millimeter frame, but still a 4/3 sensor is a fairly large sensor. In terms of shipping, John asks, um, is this one, the XL, going to be shipping? What's the timeline on the XL?
So the XL will be shipping in October. and the timeline is early October that it'll be shipping.
So we're
And
talking
then
next month.
yep, and then the O4 is right behind that as well at the middle to end of October.
UNTV asks, can you show what you mean when you say independent control of the camera? What control is available for the secondary cam? I don't understand the question.
Oh, I do. So, I think what's an important thing to point out is so we have the main camera head, the PTZ head, that's the 4/3 sensor, and then down a little bit below the little power light, we have our secondary camera. So there's two cameras
Oh, right,
on the
right.
XL. So our little wide angle 1/1/8 lens at the bottom, you can actually get a feed out of each camera individually, and you can set the resolution of each of those cameras individually. You can set your exposure, your white balance, um, your color settings to each of those individually.
Interesting. Okay, that's what he means. Now, unfortunately, that little camera in the base is also not going to rotate, though.
It's not going to pan, it's not going to tilt, but we do have a little recessed screw on the bottom of the camera where you can, tilt up or down um, that lens to be able to get the view that you want, the angle you want, depending on where you have it positioned.
So technically, like in a church, you could utilize that as a wide view of the whole sanctuary, the whole hall. That's always there. It's just there.
Yeah,
And then, you've got a
this
little
is
bit
a
of adjustment to get that framing just right when you mount it. It's like, okay, that's my wide shot. It's always there. It's always available. And then this one, I can zoom around and get my other shots.
yeah. And what's really dynamic about having the two cameras is using like the house of worship example, having the camera in the back, the wide angle lens can actually inform the AI tracking of the main camera head. So it gives you that wider profile to know where people are at, who to switch between on stage, what your zone positions are on stage. So if you've really grown to like and to have more interest in the some of the advanced AI tracking features that we have on the X1s and the X4, the XL and the O4 for that matter have taken those to another level. They're smarter. There's way more options that you can do for customization. Um, and like I kind of said, I know it's kind of like cliche, but I think it checks a lot of the boxes of things that people have been asking for.
It definitely does because I think with the release of cinema PTZ cameras, people have been, having done these shows, I have heard several times, is BirdDog going to release a larger sensor camera? And even with that, I think people were thinking 1 inch sensor as a larger sensor because, most of the PTZ camera sensors are very small, and understandably so. But to go all the way to a 4/3 sensor is a big jump forward. So I think that's going to
Yeah.
please a lot of people who have been asking about that.
Yeah. And it's a big camera, but it's not, immovably large. So I think a lot of people are like, how
Here,
big is it?
how big
I'll
is
actually
it?
pan over to it. Here, maybe. Did my preset take? The preset did not take earlier. So we'll do it live. We'll do it live.
All right.
What direction is what? So those two cameras, so that's the XL on, I think your left. And then right next to it, that white camera is the X130X. So it's significantly larger, than the X1, but it's not, a monolith of a camera.
And what's the weight difference?
Of the two, so the XL is 4 kilograms, where the X1, I'm relying on other specs, is 1 1/3 kilograms.
Okay, so it's also distinctly heavier too.
Yeah. But we've built the box to be sturdier.
Yes. So a larger sensor needs larger glass. Larger glass needs bigger motors. Bigger motors, everything sizes up, and that's why it has been a thing to create a large sensor camera because everything has to get larger. You can't just put a large sensor in a tiny zoom body because it just doesn't work. You need big glass for big sensors, which is why Panavision lenses are so big. And that's one thing, to relate that. You think how big a Panavision lens is, and that could be for a Super 35 sensor, which is not that far off from Micro Four Thirds. And to be able to get a long zoom with a big sensor is a real challenge.
Yeah, it was a really exciting task to be able to take on. And I think like I've been really blown away with my experience with the XL and what the image can do in really close-up scenarios. It's one of those things where when you just have a camera on your desk and you're testing it and you zoom it in on yourself and you're like, oh my God, is that what I look like? Because it's like it's better than what my eyes are.
Speaking of that, FK Mobile says, what does the cinematic image look like? I'm sure you guys are going to have a properly done demo. We're not trying to create a cinematic, either in your office or on my travels. So I'll wait till the team produces a properly made demo of the sensor capability in terms of being cinematic and delivering a shallower depth of field.
Yeah.
That's not something we're going to be able to cover in a live show. But as always, thank you for the question because, if you have questions about the stuff we're talking about today, throw them into the comments because that's the whole magic of being here for the live show. In addition to, wait for it, you have the opportunity to win 1 year of BirdDog Connect. You can just go to bit.ly BirdDog entry, or if you're watching this on a laptop or a desktop, it's going to be a fun show today. You could use your phone, scan this QR code, fill out the form, and enter to win. And let me go just double check that, see how many entries we've got. We've got 7 entries so far. So you have whoever enters next who has a 1 in 8 chance of winning. But I can see the entries come in live on this form, and then what we'll do is I will put them into the wheel of names that we use every show, just so that we have an opportunity during the show to give away 1 year of BirdDog Connect. So that's how you would do that. bit.ly BirdDog entry, if you want to type it in on your device you're using, or you can use the code to scan. So continuing on with the announcements, we're going to continue past that one. And
You'll notice on this one that the mounting looks very similar to the O4
yep,
because it is. We kind of took the same, design theory of the O4 mounting hardware and applied that to the XL as well. So where your wall mount like that, how it's mounted flipped, or you can mount it traditionally vertically, is very clean. Your cables are all hidden, as well as having the pull mount. Um, is it a pull mount or a corn? I think those are just the O4. I have to double
now
check my list, but
the shroud that covers everything to the wall, is that metal?
yeah, it's a metal mount. Yeah.
So that also can be important in terms of security too. Keeping people from getting access to the cables to mess with them. Uh, uh, I'm trying to not. All right, there we go. This way, FK Mobile says, can he win the XL Ultra?
I think you're able to win an XL Ultra by placing an order for one. I think it's a really exciting winning opportunity for when it shows up at your doorstep. That is the ultimate. Um, oh, Amazon just showed up. What is it? It's my XL Ultra.
Absolutely, yes. That is not what, just be clear, no, the XL Ultra is not part of the giveaway during the live show. Just being clear,
Yeah.
you enter to win a year of BirdDog Connect. That's what it is, just for the sake of, putting it out there
Which will work with your XL Ultra.
that you purchased. Let's just see. I love XLR ports for analog. I wish more cameras would use them or Nutric. I
Yeah,
don't.
that it was a big thing that we got. We noticed that a lot of folks weren't using the adapter for the mini XLR that we did on the P240, and just having the accessory was a larger barrier than a lot of folks were comfortable with. So putting the full XLR with phantom power directly on the camera, I think is going to allow the XL to fit in more pre-existing environments where there just needs to be a small upgrade, piece by piece, as well as for more professional environments.
Right, right. Continuing, let's see. 4/3 sensor, dual stacked sensor, 20x optical zoom, 40x in HD, dual
Yep.
4K 60 outputs, two times NDI. It's just like ticking the boxes of
Buzzword,
everybody's wish
buzzword,
list.
buzzword. That was the goal. I think my favorite aspect of it is the PDAF, the phase detection autofocus. So where sometimes you go through with cameras with autofocus and it breathes a little bit, or it's hunting to find the focus. The phase detection autofocus is a much more advanced version of it, where when you move the camera and you stop moving it and you land on your target, it immediately just snaps into focus, instead of taking those moments to breathe or to find the object. It is a near immediate focus.
Yeah, yeah. And we've all been there, especially at the further end where it's like, was it here? Is it there? And it's just looking around, and it's just, and as a director, you're sitting there waiting for it to stop. Okay, now.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have something just snap on. And like, if people watch this show normally, it's like normally I have a camera that can do that. It just grabs that focus super fast. And that is a very, very handy thing, especially in a fast-paced show. You don't want to have to like wait for it to like double check itself, triple check itself and everything. Just stay there. Oops, sorry. Don't knock your microphone down. So continuing along, we also have I think the key word for today's announcement is big. It's a big announcement.
Yeah.
Not just are the cameras big, but the zoom is big. The sensor is big. The capability, like the O4, the capability is big. I mean, trying to find a place where that thing isn't going to work is going to be pretty darn hard.
It is. And here, I'll do one last share here, Anthony,
Okay.
actually. Um, if I can figure out which tab I have. Here we go.
Thankfully, the internet issue seems to have cleared up a bit.
All right, so this is our web UI for the XL Ultra. So you'll see it looks remarkably just like all of our other cameras.
Yeah.
So what's cool is having the your close-up and your panoramic camera. You can view the stream information independently, as you can have them configured differently. So you can just tab through right on the dashboard
Yeah.
and view them. In your AV setup tab, we have them tabbed out here as well, where you can configure your streams independently of each other. And then also in cam control,
You can see
see
both
both of
cameras.
them as you're going through and setting your image settings and your white balance and your color matrix. And to rotate between which one you're setting, you'll notice this red box, so the image parameter control. The one that has the red border is the one that you're configuring.
Controlling.
So if I switch over to this one, now I'm controlling the main head. So if I
Making it very clear which one you're adjusting.
uh,
I think that right there, being able to have them both on the screen at the same time, and again, you're not taking up. This is somebody who's you're using the web interface, right?
yep,
So this way, you're not taking up production. You know, who's ever switching, whoever's got the multi-view, that's somebody else, and you can sit here on a web interface on a laptop, like a new Mac with a new Retina display that's super stunning. You could come in here and really dial in those colors side by side, independently of what the production is doing.
yeah, it's we because we I think as users as much as anyone else have been frustrated with when you click through and with the web preview and be like, oh, let me go back to look at it to see the changes that I've made, or I need two windows open. So
Right, right.
trying to improve the user experience, as we're evolving to make it more dynamic.
And especially with this one, I want to say camera that has two cameras, but one device that has two cameras in it, you're definitely going to want but these two cameras to match. So being able to like toggle back and forth between them and see your changes live in real time, side by side on this same monitor, not two different monitors, but this one single screen, I think really does make it easier for end users to be able to like know that they've nailed it.
Absolutely. And because there's also so many options that you can do in the UI as well. I think one thing that's pretty nifty that I didn't touch on at all was you know area management. So if you're doing AI tracking on like a house of worship stage, but you don't want the camera to ever go to the steps of the stage on the far left and the far right, you can block those off as like no-go areas so that
Right.
the tracking will never go to those areas. So you keep the camera um, defined to the space that you set up.
Definitely, definitely.
Then let's see, we
I
do
think
have the auto framing here that gets asked about. And then a really cool thing that's going to be brand new with the XL, because there's so many options that you can do as far as protocols, having the two different cameras, and you're like, oh my gosh, like what can I actually like use together? So if you click this configure button, it is almost like a little interactive game where you can define out and configure what camera you're using for what video format, and to actually know which ones can be used together,
wow.
and to make sure that your configuration works. So if I reset my matrix here, I'll turn off that, I'll turn off that. And so I see that I have 4 processing units that I can work with, and that I can do 2 output formats per camera. So if I want to use NDI-HX on the main camera, and let's say RTSP on the wide camera. So I see now that I can't do HX on the wide camera with having these configured together. But what if I also want to do RTMP out of the main camera? Like, oh,
Ah.
okay.
It's like a very visual way. Like you said, it's gamification, but it makes it easy because the CPU is only going to be able to do so much. And
Correct.
this a lot shows you, okay, you've used up all the CPU resources. This is what it's going to be able to do. I see a lot of tools out there in this space that try to be super simple, but then people run into problems where they ask the device to do too many things. And what this does is this basically visually indicates you've hit the limit. That's all it's going to do. But these things that is doing are going to be done reliably. It's just that it can't do anything more than these things because everything else is disabled. You're not going to be able to, you're not even going to be able to make it try and do those things. And then you get dropped frames and everybody's like, whoa.
Yeah. And
While you were
then,
showing that,
yeah,
somebody wrote in about the, they had a question about the cameras themselves. When the e-ink screen is off, it turns white. Could you make a
yep,
feature to change it in settings white to black? Because in a dark room, it's really frustrating.
yeah,
Well,
that's a feature that we've definitely like looked at, and we are working on road mapping into the cameras to be able to do.
right, because one of the neat things about e-ink is, when you set it to be a certain thing and the camera power is down, that's just how it stays. It doesn't use any power to stay that way.
Yep.
So yeah, thank you, Martins. Thank you very much for that. And like we said, this is definitely an interactive show. So if you had questions about the today's announcements, definitely throw them into the comments if you're watching. And I'm going to throw this up one last time. Is if you were also late to the show and you didn't see me put this up at the beginning of the show, you could enter to win a chance to win BirdDog Connect. And again, it's not a 30-day test. It's not a 15-day trial. It's not a limited time. It's a full year to use all the features of BirdDog Connect. So you can try it out, you can test it, and then a month from now you can say, "Ooh, you know what? There's this tool. Let me go see if it'll do this." And then a month after that, "Oh wait, I heard this thing has a built-in switching capability and format conversion and all this stuff." And you can really spend a full year digging into this. So BD entry, bit.ly BirdDog entry, or just scan the QR code with your phone or other mobile device, and that will take you to an entry form, and that will enable you to give you a chance to win. Not everybody wins, just to be clear. And fill in this form and you will win. No, fill in this form and you have a chance to win. So you shared your screen, and let me throw this
Yeah, I
up here
wanted
now.
to show a little feature that I think can go a little understated. I don't have it set up in a great spot because we see it's kind of blocking, our wide view camera. But I've enabled picture in picture
Oh,
in
here.
the NDI feeds where I have, the wide view camera picture in picture to the main camera head. So as I, move
Interesting. So it's actually
the
doing
main,
like a little video mixing in itself.
correct. And I can move it.
So that is pretty cool. If somebody wanted to have a picture-in-picture of both the wide and a close-up of someone talking, and or it could be a concert too. You get a close-up of the person singing, and you've got the wide shot of the crowd responding at the same time in this shot from the camera before you even get it to the video mixer.
Absolutely.
Very interesting.
So but there's a lot of cool things. Like we've been talking about all the new cameras for, an hour. We could probably spend, over an hour on each of the cameras going over the things that it has.
In
There's so many
detail,
things to
yeah.
cover. Yeah, there's so many things. Um, it's really, really exciting. If you're out in Amsterdam, I would highly encourage you to run by the booth and check it out. They have all three of them on display with our entire fleet. With KBDs connected for control. We didn't even talk about that, but all three of them are integrated with the KBD and work just like the rest of our fleet. So there won't be any delay or like, oh, I need an update for the KBD to be able to use my new XL. No, we've taken care of.
Right. Let's see, I do this. And what I wanted to do was also just reiterate for people that what we've been talking about today is IBC. We talked about the XL Ultra coming out to audiences. Ooh, look at this. I can dynamically scale the image. The XL Ultra really delivering image quality. You have the O4. Again, people were saying, well, when's BirdDog going to have an outdoor camera again? Here it is. It's out.
Right now.
And this one takes all the learnings from the original camera and improves on them. More mounting capability, better connectivity, and it seems like it's definitely
And
able
new
to
colors.
do new colors, but also able to handle more heat.
Yeah. So I think that mentions two things about the O4 that we didn't even talk about. So the O4, our last series of outdoor cameras, we only had available in white, but the O4 is available in gray and white, and the mounts correlate in color. So if you have it, in an outdoor environment against a concrete wall, you can go with the gray one and kind of have it disappear more into your environment and not stand out like a sore thumb.
Right. And then we talked about the water resistant, not water resistant, water phobic,
Yeah.
the glass.
And then it has an integrated heater to prevent like lens fog up as well.
Right. And then being able to, the new feature of being able to use 4K capability for a longer zoom. So you're giving it up to 60x zoom
And when you do
in
that in
HD.
tandem with the 500-meter IR laser, especially even if you put it into black and white mode and you have it on the outside of your building, if you want to use it more and like, oh, what would it be like if I started using like an NDI camera for the security at our building? Or you're able to get really high, quality imagery from a really far distance in really extreme
Absolutely.
conditions. So a little outside the box of traditional environments, but it'll still fit into traditional AV and broadcast environments extremely well.
Right. And we talked about connectivity is in it, and you just run whatever cables you want into it. And it's got the tracking, NDI, like you said, and it can
It
be
looks good
it can be set up upward, vertic. Let's say I would say upwards and downwards.
traditionally and flipped.
There we go. I thank you very much. And then the last one we covered is, or the first one we covered was the X1 30X. I love this phrase. We've got the zoomies. And I think this camera is going to be a really hot product because people have been asking about 30X from BirdDog, because you guys had a 30X in the first series and looking for it to come back. And this includes all of the other advancements that have been put into the X series. So it's not like, oh, we got you the 30X back again, but there's no buts. That's the thing. There's no buts. There's like everything that you liked about the X series and now in 30X. And then of course,
And lens threads.
and lens threads, yes, and lens threads. And not new for IBC, but if people are looking at the BirdDog, the new control surface for Maki Studio, the
We
new
do have a
Maki live
really
cameras.
cool new partnership with the Maki Studio that we're announcing with NewBlue and their Captivate software. With when you purchase Maki Studio, you'll get a Maki Studio version of NewBlue's Captivate to be able to
Oh,
use, to be able to do more advanced NDI titling. And so it's really cool. We're trying to make it as accessible as possible to use all of those dynamic production features that you can get on the Maki Studio. So trying to really bring um, the NDI titling and more advanced production to areas and workflows that don't really have it, because it is, at a really economical price at $695
It is.
to be able to start really high level productions for not a lot of an upstart cost.
And then for those who don't know, the New Blue titlers, that's been their New Blue's thing is titling. And it is professional titling software. So it's not just like, oh, there's a titler built into it. Now you're basically saying you get to like hook into this other professional titling software into your, live production studio with the same purchase price. BirdDog Connect, where, as I mentioned with everyone watching, you have the opportunity to win BirdDog Connect. One last entry opportunity right here. And as I was mentioning, it does everything in terms of conversion, routing. It can switch, it can record, it can take an NDI feed and stream it to a destination, multiple destinations. It includes the retransmitter, the bridge, Connect Audio, and Connect Presenter. So there's a lot of different pieces to this software, and it might even take you a full year to try and figure out how to use all of the different tools to their full potential. And I really don't want to leave out the 4K converters. You guys have been doing a ton of work with Silicon 2 in terms of bidirectional capability, 4K capability with all of these converters. It's almost like breathing new life into hardware that's been out for how many years? Several.
4 or 5.
Yeah, they've been out for a while. So
Yeah.
being able to say, hey, those converters that you bought because they were able to accept 4 signals. Well, now you can do 2 and 2. Well, now you can do all these other cool things too. So just building in new capabilities into the hardware that people already own. I
Yeah, and
think.
at the show, they're demoing a new feature that we're going to be bringing to the 4K HDMI and 4K SDI really soon, called fast switching. Or if you've used like our Central Pro or software or NDI router, where you're changing your NDI sources really quickly without the effect of like unplugging a device and plugging it back in.
Right.
So really that actual switching experience. So that way, when you switch on the 4K HDMI or SDI, it is faster, like it is a video switcher, like that effect, instead of what it is now, where it's killing the source that you're using and then booting up the next one. It is a much
Yeah.
faster experience. So it is bringing some of that video switching experience to the product as well, which is another huge upgrade to these converters.
And then last few things on this page, KBD. Don't forget about KBD, a whole new experience with the built-in screen, the built-in capability, being able to access the BirdDog device capabilities without even having to go into a web page on a laptop. I think that those features alone make it worth it, let alone the better build, the new fine-tune control and things like that. Those are things that really do set this one apart.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. By far. I literally have a KBD connected on my desk like 24/7.
And then you get the Max, which is your little boardroom buddy. It's like the X1, but if you're not going to use, you don't need the Wi-Fi and you don't need the return feed capability. The Max is this nice little thing that just does its job in the corner of the room and also gives you a bit wider field of view, especially which is especially important in small meeting rooms.
4K 30 with a 90-degree field of view. And then
Yeah.
it's also going to be getting our teleconvert update, where you can get now 24x zoom when you're using 1080p 30.
There you go. There you go. So it's the best of both because, you can, if it's a 4K camera, but you're only web conferencing in HD, now you've got that increased reach in terms of the zoom. And Pod, tell us about Pod.
Pod's really exciting. I think we all know about Pod. I don't have a date for anybody that's asking, but no, like we're testing and rounding out the final version of the firmware, so that way when it hits your hands, you don't bring your pitchforks out for us. Um, but it works, and we're using it, and we're really really excited for it. And once we have it in the warehouses and shipping, we're going to tell you as soon as we have that date. We'll let you know.
And I think there's been a lot of excitement for Pod because it's something that has been on its way for a while, but also because other companies, I just saw another company release one, and there was hubbub because it's like, oh, you're able to convert NDI into USB. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't switch between four different sources. I'm like, this is going to be like, well, here, let me show you the laptop. Click. Now let me show you this camera. Click. Now let me show you that camera. Click. And I think that just takes that capability, I would say to the next level, but 4 levels because it's got 4 inputs.
Yeah, it's really dynamic, and I'm really really excited for once we're able to get it in everyone's hands.
All right. Well, Christian, I do thank you for your time. I think you and I have spent the better part of the day talking about all the different announcements from IBC, the other different products, answering questions. I did see something else came in. Are we any closer to the Wi-Fi wireless adapter shipping?
It's in QA for rounding out our final firmware. Similar to what I was saying on the pod. Once I have a shipping date for it, and it's going out the door, we'll give you that date and that timeline exactly once we have it.
Yes, and I think as someone who does use NDI wirelessly, and I have experienced the same thing, and I am very keen, just like on Screen Creations here, I am very keen on the Wi-Fi adapter for NDI because not every wireless adapter is created equal. I mean, I have a pro router in my home office studio, and that pro router does not handle an NDI stream very well at all, let alone two. So you really need hardware that is designed for NDI and to handle these bandwidth streams and just get the frames across as fast as possible. So this thing is going to be huge in terms of delivering what the cameras are built to deliver. But when people pair them with subpar wireless hardware, they think it's the camera's problem when it's not. It's the wireless adapter's problem.
Yeah, there's the path of that it has to walk down.
It's the whole path. Niles asks, does the Studio app do transparency? And yes, it has multiple, I think it has titling and transparency there that you can bring in other graphics and things like that, as well as a web source. So I believe that's how the new Blue titler is going to be used. It's going to be coming in via web source, right?
Yeah, it'll come in. Yeah, so you'll put in the NDI address, the IP, and you can also even do like HTML graphics through Maki Studio as well.
Yes. UNTV also recommends the Netgear Orbi series. And that's the thing, because while the other problem with the consumer hardware is I've had hardware like for years, I used to use a Google Wi-Fi puck, and then Google, went through an update, and then the next day it didn't work as well. And, you can't go into those, consumer hardware and tell it not to update. They're designed to be able to be remotely updated for security reasons, and that makes sense because they're wireless routers. They're a whole lot more than just access points, and that's the thing. I I look forward to a dedicated piece of hardware to do this task that only does this task, but it does it really well.
Yeah, it'll be good.
All right, Christian. We've answered all the questions. You've helped me walk through all of the latest announcements. I thank you very much for your time, and I will wish you a great weekend today. And I want to get to the audience and give this copy of Connect away. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
So thank you to all of you who have watching the show. Let us come over here to our BirdDog entries. You will click on this screen right here, which will show that the entries are right here. We have 2 through 9. I'm going to copy these live in front of you so that you can see me copy these names. I will go over to the contest wheel, the BirdDog contest wheel for IBC. I'm going to paste these names in, and then I'm going to click to spin the names, and we will see who wins. And the winner is Olafs. Congratulations, Olafs. You are the proud winner of this show's copy of BirdDog Connect. I thank you all for being here for the show today, especially everyone who persevered through the internet issues at the very beginning of the show. That's part of doing a live show on the internet, is that you don't have control of the internet itself and producing in the cloud. I'm at a new location. Christian's at a different location. I thank you all for being patient with us as we went through that, and thank you all for being here for today's show. I look forward to talking with you next time on BirdDog Connect.